There's always these little tricks here and there.
It's kind of like shielding the fibers from cross illumination.
Yeah, that was a really great tip. I enjoyed yours.
Right, you've got to paint the fibers black.
Yep. All that bleed going on. I wish I had known that before I was working on my Jupiter, because there's a little bit of bleed going on. It's not too obvious, but when one particular fiber is blinking off, you can see a dash of bleed coming through from another fiber next to it that's on. So
right, and if he'd painted them black beforehand.
And now I can't because it's too dangerous.
Maybe you could.
That'd be a lot of masking and a lot of worry while I did it. So yeah, it could be
what
done,
about a
but
slightly thinned down enamel paint?
that could do it.
That would get in between the fibers.
Yeah, on
on some of it might work. See, we're brainstorming. See the little clouds up here?
Yeah, it's like on all the fibers.
Yeah,
here.
like that would work on these.
But I couldn't spray it on because
no. But if you
that'd
use
be
a slightly
dangerous.
thinned down, I'm saying enamel
I'll
paint.
brush it.
And the enamel won't eat into the fibers.
Yep, that could work.
And just dab it on there and let the capillary action pull it into the fibers.
That makes sense.
It'll dim it. It won't shield them completely because you can't get enough paint in there to do that.
Yeah.
But it'll dim it enough so that crosstalk goes away.
Yeah, it could very well be. That'll be something I should try. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't try it on that. I'd take a bundle and try it separately.
Yeah. Too close to finished.
Yes,
no more
exactly.
experimentation.
No experiment on that. No. I know how much work you've got in that.
Yeah.
And it shows on the inside. It really does show.
Yeah. I just gotta get off my butt and finish this shelf queen off.
Yeah, that was another conversation he brought up and we never finished. Motivation. How do you motivate yourself to work on these models when you hit a shelf queen spot?
Yeah.
Like, I've got more than one that just sits at home, and I just look at it and go, I need to find the time, and then I go off and watch something on Netflix. Okay? Or the wife starts calling dinner's ready, and I'm like, okay, and then I put it off, I come back up and go, ooh, there's that model, let's do that one. Scott, Scale Model Addict, just had a video up on this. He was saying a big model stash is a distraction. Because you walk in and you're like, well, I can do that. That looks like more fun than this.
That could be.
Could be.
Because I know I only caught the title of that because all my other subscriptions knocked it out before I could watch it.
That's one of those things I don't like about YouTube.
That was difficult. But the general gist of it seemed to be how do you keep your focus?
Yeah, how do you keep your focus? How
motivation?
do you keep your motivation going?
It's tough, definitely. I mean, this is 5 years and 1 month old right now since I started this, and basically the month after I began it, I was still hopeful, but that's when I met my wife again. And
yeah, that'll do it right there.
as soon as life gets, the important things in life are more important than a hobby, and when you lose a lot of time away from the hobby, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I could work on that, but oh look over there's something else, or there's all these little distractions going on. And actually forcing yourself to sit down and work on it, you don't want it to turn into something tedious where it's a chore.
Don't, because as it becomes a chore,
resentful.
you're going to stop working on it.
Yeah. I think for me, this became a chore at some point, and I had to just get away from it for a long while. And tying back to Scott's video, one of the things, I'm a fine artist by training, and one of the things when I used to do a lot of oil paintings was I'd keep 3 or 5 of them going on. So you get bored with one, or you hit a roadblock, move to the other, move to the other. And the same thing with my models. Before I started the Jupiter, I had 5 or 6 going on, and they were always moving. And then you can gang stuff in together. So you're going to paint 3 different models this color, or you're going to work on the electronics for these 2, or you're going to finish those 2 off, and you just always have some motion going on. I think that really helps.
That was me on the last spring contest. I got near the end of the TIE Fighter, so I brought out that Cylon Raider. And they're both getting painted somewhat the same. They're both getting put together somewhat the same.
Yeah.
So it was really easy to throw the Cylon in, because while I'm painting the TIE Fighter, I can work on the Cylon while that paint is curing. And you want to let that paint sit for a day or 2.
Yeah.
So it's easier to do that. And then when you get stuck on something and it's a long-term project, you get stuck.
Yeah. Especially like on this, instead of doing several different things, or the same thing on several different models, this became step-by-step linear. So I had to do this, then I had to do that, and there was no bouncing around at all, and I had to follow the way this model itself needed to be built. And
well, hello, you.
Who's that?
We have a visitor.
Yeah,
Bean.
we got Bean.
Bean.
Hey, Bean.
Safety officer Bean.
We got a kitty cat around. He's a
coming to see
friendly
me.
little guy.
Yeah, he is.
He can play pretty rough, though. Like, check out some of this right there.
Yeah, I'm not going to push my luck.
Hey, Bean.
I moved and he ran off.
Yeah, he can be skittish.
Because I was reaching down to get a camera to take some photos of that. Because you guys can't see it, and his videos don't do justice when you're looking in here.
But we'll get this camera closer to this, and I'll even light it up too. And
Or I brought my still camera with me, and I could just pull that out and take some photos.
okay.
If Tom doesn't mind.
Not at all. Definitely not. I think I could actually undo this relatively quickly. It's been sitting like this for several months now, so I'm actually glad to be making this step forward. I'm doing it.
I got you. Part of your motivation on the spray booth is to have someone to paint this thing, right?
Yeah. So yeah, the spray booth over here, not quite in shot, is based off of Bad Grendels' design, where he had the fan underneath, and I loved that idea so much I had to do it for myself. And then I've made some further modifications as well, as realities have set in for my particular version of it.
Right. Oh. That way everyone can see Bean.
There we go.
Let me back that up. Of course, the cat, being what he is not going to pose. One of those will work.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them works. Everyone, you want your signed autograph photo of Tom? Email him.
With Bean?
With Bean.
Here's his big trick.
Oh!
There you go.
You like being up there, Bean?
There you go, Bean. Usually.
My cats like being up like that. Both Tomo and Thunderpaws.
And how do you guys display your stuff, too? That's a good question. Obviously, you're pretty limited as far as, like, big models go.
Yeah, because they have to match the decor of the house.
Yeah. Like with me, with the Jupiter here, even though it's only 18 inches around, I really don't know where I'm going to display it when it's done, so I figure I may as well just sell it and get rid of it and not worry about it. There we go.
Yeah, that's another question. How do you justify selling something you've got 100 hours of your life into?
I don't mind that.
Okay.
I think that comes from my fine art days. Initially, they were like, how could you part with that painting that you worked on for so long? And
if you want to earn a living, you got to.
Once you get the money for it, you're like, all right, it's not one of your kids. It's a painting or a model. Or
look at that area right there.
Yeah, nice, huh?
Wow, there's got to be, what, 20 LEDs in that area right there?
Yeah, probably. There's
all going to different colors?
6, 8, 10, 12, 15-ish right there. Another 3, another 5, 7.
Over 20.
5 there, 5 here.
Sorry, jet lag.
Another 4 there. Plus those guys, obviously.
For the freezer walls.
And then there's some individual LEDs up here, I think.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of LEDs right there.
Oh, yeah. And 50-something LEDs right there
alone.
Then we got 3 sequencers here, 1 sequencer there.
You got some on the... There's something over here.
Oh, yeah, that's the 5th sequencer. So there's 5 sequencers driving all the blinking on this, which could probably be done with one Arduino, but I have sequencers, so it's sequencers. That's the way
I've looked at Arduinos, and I still can't get myself to buy one because they're $50–$60.
Oh, that much? Wow.
Well, for a starter kit.
Oh, I see.
Whereas a microcontroller, I've found PIC chips for microcontrollers for $1 each. So to me, that's a more cost-effective route. But there's a steeper learning curve on the PIC chips than there's Arduinos. Because Arduinos, they sell you the board. All you're doing is programming the chip.
Right.
And putting pins on the board. You route the power to it, you put the pins on the board, you add a switch, you're done. That's an Arduino. A PIC controller, you have to assign everything. You got to learn how to program it and how to get power to it. So it's a different beast, but it's way cheaper. For model lighting, yeah, you can get a PIC controller for $1 versus
That's the way to go.
$50. I've done some basic looking, I just have not had the time to get into it. That would be the next step.
suppose it would also come down to particular functionality that you're looking for too.
True.
Like whereas I've got 5 sequencers here, in this particular case, a single Arduino board hooked up right would do it all, and it would save that much space, that much of the soldering, and well, maybe not on the soldering.
No, probably not, because you still got to solder all the LEDs in.
Yeah.
That is true there.
Let's see.
And Arduinos are being used for lots of stuff. People make video games with them.
Yep.
So they're more designed for hardcore programming, whereas the PIC chip I'm talking about is designed for exactly what I would want to use it for.
Yeah.
Because it's an 8-bit processor, and it's very, very limited in what it can do, but it can do what we'd like.
Sorry for the distraction there.
Yeah, no worries.
I thought I had some alligator clips I could power this up real quick, and you could see what it looks like lit up from the underside.
Well, we could if we move it over there.
Yeah.
To the electronics bench instead of the workbench.
Yeah. But keeping track of all those, yellow, orange, black, that was a...
Like I said, the end result is very, very nice.
The almost end result.
Right.
The nearing the end result.
That's what you're looking for, is the end result.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think the lighting is just about all done. Like I had mentioned before, it's plugging in these last few fibers and figuring out where they go, and then I can move on, hopefully.
Start actually getting it done.
Yeah, it's the back room here that's really been holding me up most recently. These are some prototypes. So essentially what's going on is that that'll go something like that.
Gotcha.
And I had already made this guy. I've had this for years now, right?
Right.
But every time there's been, it hasn't fit the hole exactly, I've gone back to this, chopped it down, and that's changed the distance between this and the inside of
the window. And it doesn't look good anymore.
Yeah, so every time I modify that, this changes. So I came up with the idea of a slab of Avis, put that on the inside here. Now I just have to match that up with this and get all that lined up, which is the next big phase, which is really the thing that's holding me back.
I was wondering why that looks different. That's not plastic.
No, that's a rolled out piece of Avis, or Aves. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Everyone calls it Aves.
Yeah.
Epoxy sculpt.
Epoxy sculpt. There we go. So yeah, and then getting this to line up exactly
heavy,
there. Yeah, it's a good weight to it. I got to come up with a thinner. Like this one weighs a little less, maybe. Yeah. So this is my next hope for finishing this thing off, because this was.
What about putting an extension tube on there?
That was what I had been doing. So I would cut a circle and wrap that around there to fit between this shape of the circle and that shape of the circle. Right. But then as I started bringing this in to make it fit, it still was looking funny. It looked funny, but then the distance would change, so I'd have to cut a new circle.
Okay.
And every time I had to cut a new circle, make a new change, and
it was getting very frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that quite well.
Yeah. And here are a few YouTube channels that might interest you. As always, the Scale Model Addict. Scott Gervan brings you his own work, and the Scale Model Addict Forum and Scale Model Addict Magazine. Dr. Faust's The Painting Clinic. Check out Tony for miniatures and model painting. What time is it? It's Cranky time. With his lab rat Ori assistant Igor, Dr. Cranky brings you the best in rats, rods, and rust. Steve Neal's Garage with Rosie the Wonder Dog, Mary, and Xena, featuring feature film props, restorations, and scale model artistry. Scott Alexander of Atomic City Models, specializing in 2001: A Space Odyssey model recreations and a few other notable genre pieces as well. Braddock 001, whether a 1-to-1 scale Borg sleep station, droids of any make or model, or even popular superhero armor or any kind of sculpture, look to Brad Carpenter to bring it. And for the trials, tribulations, and tales of my car Red 2 and its droid lemons, check in on Gears McTinkersome. Bad Grendels for fine model work, timer chips, and electronics knowledge. The ModelManTom channel would like to thank the following for their sponsorship: Elliot Brown of Kingston Vacuum Works, featuring Fedoratron.com and WarmPlastic.com. Lighting for extraordinary modelers, and vacuum-forming tables for designers, modelers, and engineers. Kingston Vacuum Works covers it all. Paul at thefiberopticstore.com, now presenting the beta version of its new site, thefiberopticprojects.com, for an exceptional selection and great prices of fiber optics of all sizes and quantities. Thefiberopticstore.com. Carpenter Creations. If you can dream it, you can make it. Brad and Carpenter, science fiction artists. From full-scale board cubicles or droid displays of all kinds. Carpenter Creations. Steve Neal's Garage. Props and models for motion picture and discerning collectors, as well as prosthetic makeup and CG. Contact Steve through stevenealsgarage.com. Model reviews from Round 2 Models, AMT, MPC, Polar Lights, and Lindbergh. Scale Model Addict Magazine. Issue 3 now available. Issue number 4 is in the works. The Orbital Defense Engineering Commission, a 2001 A Space Odyssey specific forum for scale model kits, reviews, news, and discussion. Odec.proboards.com. More than just talk, hobbytalk.com, a forum for every hobby. And for the finest reference collection of feature film studio props and miniatures and models, Modelers, Miniatures, and Magic at modelermagic.com.